What's up, y'all? It's me, Tasha C. And in this particular video, y'all, I'm recapping the series David Makes Man, and season 1, episode 3. Okay. As you see now, shout out to my YouTube fam. I'm a little clear. My nephew let me use his iPhone. It's darn shame what these kids have better stuff than us as grown-ups. Gosh. Anyway. um like I said, if you like what you're seeing here, don't forget, to subscribe and click on the notification bell. I hope to be, caught up after the day, and hopefully won't be more delays. Things, are getting a little bit better, But anyways, y'all, I wanted to talk about this episode. It's becoming more interesting. This episode actually focused more so on David and from the kids' point of view, as they dealing with possibly from the show is based on him. He's the main character of this show, of this series, of this story. And we're kind of seeing this from the angle, like, also not just from David, but his friend Sarah and Serene, as well, of what he has to do as far as masking and seeing from his background. And also the cliche thing is, all that glitter is not gold. And so we it jump scenes, but it's, like I said, so beautifully set up how this story is. Goodness. So we see that already, if y'all seen the first episode, and like I said before, if this is your first time watching this, my reviews or whatever, so forth, I think, like I said, there's a couple of people also reviewing, but even though I do have the own channel, OWN has their own channel on YouTube, and they actually have the first full 3 episodes right on their channel. So if you have a chance, they're still up. You can also watch it on here as well, at least the first 3 episodes. So how many times we will, we'll have the gifts of seeing these episodes if you have it. But yes, they definitely have those right here, so you can find on YouTube. So that's why I just went ahead and just watched it real quick, and voila. So this is David's second, I think, first or second. No, it's his first session. He was supposed to do a couple sessions because that was also part of his obligation after the fight between him and Serene, which also had layers to it as well, because to him doing his best friend or receiving attention for this project and so forth. And a part of him felt defeated, so he used something to hurt Siren, even though he didn't want to hurt him. And so, as far as right now, we didn't see, well, we get into it, but we didn't see it from the angle of his neighborhood. Okay, we were outside most of the time. Now, he's talking to, I think, is a counselor, but when I seen the prescriptions at the end, the papers describe prescription, he's obviously a family and or child psychiatrist as well for school or something, so forth. And he's talking questions, asking some current questions and so forth. When he's talking about, the general questions about how you feel, kind of like how you feeling, blah, 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 and what, about like me questions about the fight or what has happened, kind of like talking about the fight, but not talking about the fight, and kind of asking questions about, what happened in the fight, but asking him the way from David's standpoint. And we see David, he's dealing with almost he's split into 3 parts of self, 3 personalities, 3 things that make him. You got first one part of David that comes up, one nicknames to go by. They're all 3 type of Davids, but it's 3 parts of his personality, or 3 parts where he's split into 3 people. But it's what he wants to say, but doesn't come out, except a couple times at the end where they go back to the session towards the end with the psychiatrist. As they all agree with certain answers. But you got the one that's he kind of got to use it just the hood, and DeVille, David kind of, the smart mouth ass and one there. Then you got the other one, head cappers, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, all the time, kind of type attitude. He chill, he into school, but he kind of is the most humorous one. And then you have the one that's David is right there. And I'm paying attention because he's so tense and nervous. And I don't know, the psychiatrist making notes about that. But at times, y'all, when he answers questions, he's stumping his foot, or sometimes he's shaking as well. And he's been doing that on and off, like every episode. And what is going on? It's be interesting to know, will David be diagnosed with any behavior, or how long this is going to go? Because just like Sarena's dealing with a lot of issues, David is dealing with something that's behavior, like I said, but you could see flat out like his behaviorism, and at times the shaking, or it seems like he tunes out and everything. It's something where just 1 or 2 counseling sessions is not enough for what's David going on. And actually, Serena, they both need, help. And Serena needs to be out of his environment, really, for real, for real. But so anyways, now we have it where he was talking. So he first was talking. I first thought, like I said, because some things seem like a dream sequence, but it flows. And some things you don't think that, is it happening or is it not happening? So what I mean by that is when he's talking about, well, he went with Saru, they end up like, working together on the project again that ends up being brought up towards the end of the episode. And I keep saying he spent the night at Saru's house, and I'm sitting here like, huh? He's saying that because, the first person that had the smart ass one from David from the Villes, like, man, why you tell him that? Blah, 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 blah. You're not going to be asking questions. Blah, blah, don't say nothing. Silent, okay? And I'm like, huh? So then they go back to before the session. This is actually, we're seeing the beginning, is future. Kind of like in your future. This is like, I guess after everything, like I said, it's a little bit out of sequence on purpose. And so we have it where he's back to class with Dr. D. I think her name is, they call her the WT Woods Trip or Trap. I'm going to call her Dr. WT, okay? The famous phenomenon for Alicia Rashad. I hope I'm saying, legend. So she wants to talk to him, asking, like, how him and Sarene, are they okay? And he's like, the handshake. She's like, okay, prove it. And then she's also explaining to him, like, you basically have yourself together, because it was another girl who's doing presentation, because it's the presentation that began in the first episode was like, who are you? And in that's where Sarene had a good one. Who was talking about, he's the great nephew of who I think who is over the school district or something like that. But Marissa was talking about she is the great aunt or something, like a niece of her aunt that was a priestess or something like that. And she had on, and I first thought this was illusion too. When they go to her, she puts like fake blood on her hand, and it wakes up David, and and Dr. WT is like, what the heck, girl? You don't clean it up. And she got all this nitrogen or whatever the heck she's talking about. She's like, I got it straight now. It's just natural juices, a little a little berry, little blueberry, whatever. So Dr. WT wants to talk to David because he's basically like, I mean, are you okay? Stuff. And that's, like I said, that's when she's asking, like, what's going on between the sides. So she's already talking about, trying to get, because they're getting ready to do interviews for these high schools, and, to go to prestigious high schools, and he forgot. And the really, she's just concerned about making sure that he gets himself together, and he's been slipping, a lot going on and stuff like that. So she's giving tomorrow his project's done. And he like, I only got 1 day, and on top of that, I got to work with him, and on top of that, I gotta make sure that I got us in my counseling session. And Dr. TW like, okay, and make it work. So he talks to Sarah in the hallway first, and he's like, I gotta work this project, and Dr. WT said I gotta work with you. And he's like, okay, do you want a handshake? And he explains, like, no, you gotta help me. I'm not sure he says you're gonna take 50 points. I basically, F, and it doesn't mean friendly, okay? Or, basically bad grade that's going to affect him getting into this good high school, So he like, okay, well, the only way, since this last minute, the only way I'm gonna be helping you, you're gonna have to spend a night at my house. And he just like, well, without saying too much words, but if we all been watching since the last couple episodes about what he was referring to, so they were talking, but it was like, are you sure? He was like, no, I'm not gonna let nothing happen to your house, and he ain't supposed to be there no way. He gone to work. Ray gone. Ray the monster, we're gonna call, is gone, whatever. And he was like, oh, okay. And so they agreed. And because Marissa was given something like she had gave back her chemical set or something like that. So Marissa obviously must be going to be one of the characters too. More about her, I guess, in the future as well. Even though I think Cyrene and Cyrene should have like the crush on each other, something like that. It seemed like, or at least it seemed like their families, or at least Marissa's mama want, like, oh, okay, him. So, this was a sad, a bittersweet moment, but it was so sad at the same time. Now we got Cyrene and David. They're riding on the bus, and we all know that he lives with this monster Ray. And so the bus that's like, they seem like they got as much potholes as they do up here in Michigan. Okay, how just boom, 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 boom. But guess what? Every time you hear these bumps, that's making this bruise that the monster put on Ray. He's trying to hold in the pain. So David like scoots near her, like presses against him more on his, because like I said, you're sitting in the same, the big seat you share on the bus, right? The school bus, right? And to help, and then he, then they just like hold their hands, and it's like, I guess they make their own roller coaster. I mean, the best way to describe it, but he kind of helps him where it's not painful no more, and he smiles and just help him to relieve the pain that he's dealing with right now, which is sad, and they smile, but you see the friendship there, but it's so sad because it's like, here his friend is in this abusive, toxic environment. And David, to a certain extent, is in a toxic environment as well. But for what I gather is his, and what we see in his mom, she, we all have things to work on. His mom is nowhere like what the situation we got her. So they go to the house, and, you see this nice, beautiful house, whatever. And here, take your shoes off at the door, and he's, they all playing around like, what do you want? And he's like, oh, can I get some Kool-Aid, Jam, or something like that? Cyrene didn't know what it was, but they did have some Kool-Aid. And, David is all, oh, gosh, I would never want to leave here, and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, bro, that shows like, yeah, it's illusion. He's this nice, beautiful house and probably, has the latest gadgets. But he goes to one of the most ugliest things. He is an abused child. He's in a toxic environment. So by then, they're also talking about kind of like a little bit about their backgrounds, more so their daddies. So Ray actually was the one who bought that house, okay? Since probably the mom is probably with him as well. His dad is alive, but he doesn't like. So I don't know when he left. I think his father, he has really nothing little enough doing with him, and his mom wants it that way. And it's like over time, it was some area. It's the same actually area where KG's dad was, but KG's dad got killed at 2 years old. So, because they were talking about a little bit. And so he asks David, like, well, where's your dad? And he honestly said, I don't know who he is. So forth, okay? And like I said, they still thinking about asking where he come from. And that was the issue about finding out where his dad was. But it just was like after Cyrene and they were talking a little bit, all of a sudden we hear somebody like, they got them, attached garage, I guess, whatever, to the house. And he's scared. I first thought it was the monster Ray, right? And it turns out it's his mom. And his mom even moved the shoes, which obviously the mom's already knew that David was spending the night. And even to a certain point, the mom, which she is possibly, at least abusive, verbal abusive to Cyrene as well. And because, like I said, with Ray, pays for everything, it's kind of like she may possibly be one of these sorry ass adults that happens to, kind of like brush, if he does, if Cyrene even tells her about what happened to abuse, she's not even going to believe him or lie or just brush it off, especially since Ray is paying for everything, well, no time circle, but she's all like in his face, like, where's your dad? What didn't I tell you about this? Didn't I tell about that? Whatever. You and your attitude and blah 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 blah. One of them type of things. I mean, you have to see it for yourself, but it's kind of sad because it's kind of like I said, that even makes it worse for him that he can't even go to his mom because of her behavior that she puts down is on top of his head as well. You better be happy there's company over here and blah 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 blah. But she's like, hey David, get your elbows off my island, and stuff. So he had to also ask to call the girl Marissa, the one we're going to talk about earlier, and maybe be a character we know about, whatever, later on, okay, right? And calls her, and the mom was like talking, I think, in French or something. Her mama picks up the phone, Marissa's mom, and she, because he had to ask permission from, Cyrene had to ask his mama, call her, and she ain't really supposed to allow to speak to the boys, but since, it's Cyrene, Marissa's mom is like, okay, that's good catch, I guess, or thinks like, okay, this I'm making a session because of who it is on the phone. And Marissa's like, okay, what do y'all want? And because they're thinking about using the song we found later on was Mary J. Blige, Your Child. But they need a girl's voice because of the high pitchedness of the song. And first, she's like, you know what? Okay, y'all gotta ask me nicely, and we're not gonna go through it. It'll take a long time to go through that, okay? And so she ends up, okay, meet before school early, because David don't like being there on time or whatever, right? So they talk about it, and then it kind of goes to the next scene where they're still talking, and David, got his own bed, and then Cyrene are talking, and they're kind of still talking about the background. But the one thing I want to point out that stood out was, how can Cyrene should tell somebody else, and Cyrene's like, well, I told you, and he's like, yeah, but you need to tell somebody bigger and stuff. And it kind of just fades it off in the conversation is, just, dealing with stuff. And then we were talking about how his mom was kind of like to him as well. And then David was like, my mom actually hugs me more when she thinks she's going to get mad at me. Now, KG gets popped. But just seeing the sad dynamic of noticing this child is in an abusive environment. And based on the little information we told, Cyrene doesn't have all he got is that mom and that monster stepdad of his, and he seems to be the only child, whatever, and that just seems to be it. And it's like he has to tolerate this, and that's the only choice, which is really sad. And then the mom said, y'all get ready to go to bed. So the next, because also too, I forgot to point out, when he asked Cyrene to help him with the project, he actually quoted what Raymond's uncle was, had told him, but switched the wordplay around. He said this, it's like, give me a quick yes instead of a slow no. Instead of reverse what Uncle Ty or whatever was in the last episode was talking about. So, what happened was, after that, we also want to point out this quick scene, whatever, because there's a lot going on, and now I'm wondering what's next. Now, and by the way, just flat out, let's get out the way. Sky was not present in this episode. Sky was discussed, but he did not make an appearance. And so, when, I think, Gloria was getting off work and stuff like that, whatever, right? And she up and picking KG because, Miss Elijah helped KG with, getting helping, I think, embroider, I think I might say the correct word, putting stitches of initials on some socks, help him out. So, since he got some new Jordans, because like I said, KG going to his granddaddy's house because granddad be spoiling him and stuff, last episode was like, see, little man, you see these shoes fit. And so I think got some new J's, so, But, and then, Miss Gold say Star, because, Star is still over there too, whatever, it's almost like he, Star said like a kid that Elijah's helping with, whatever. And then, Elijah was sewing something, whatever, and Glow asked, Elijah, asked him, oh, is this for, one of those shows of balls or certain driver? He was like, the Finny driver. He was like, that Ben go, I don't want to say the wrong pronouns. They were like, that Ben gone, okay? And he was like, you thought, the guy, I guess, Gold was interested in some guy named, I guess, Affinity. He was like, oh, you thought he was with that, bot stuff. And, AG looking like bot stuff. What is y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? And then Gold had to tell, then it was a conversation with Elijah, yeah, but I got a hickey to prove it. And Elijah's like, what else is so going? They just laughed, and she just went to take a KG back to her place. And Elijah look outside, and they see this. We see somebody on the ground, and the police and Popo's got somebody got the hands back up and Ray. Who getting put off the ground? It's Ray. And I'm like, and Elijah looked like, okay, you know what? let me go back in the house, whatever, type of look. But it's like, what? So I don't know how that happened or what that's gonna come up. That's gonna be interesting how this rest of this come out. I know we got like 6 or 7 what about 5 to 7 more episodes left, so this is pretty interesting. So that was Gray's only appearance, so it might be temporary. We don't know what he got caught with, you know what I'm saying? It could have been a dime or something, a nick or whatever. It might not even be that much what the heck it is, whatever. But just the fact is, it's like he got caught slipping. Okay. Or might be going for comments. We don't know. So after that, I'll just fast forward the day of the project and then go back to like talking about the therapy session. Now in between, I'm just going to talk real quick again about he explains like it was, like the psychiatrist doctor asked him how do you feel well, how does mom feel about a spinal night? And the mom was some way, especially, but she allowed it though, even though a lot had happened the summer that somebody had there was a bad summer, because every time the doctor would say something about saying the whole name Village, he would say no, the Ville. David would back to him. And then he also told him about he had lost somebody during that summer. It's dangerous summer, he lost somebody close to him. And, psychiatrist because they went back and forth to the therapy session. And he ended up, explaining to him, like, Sky wanted the best for him, but he wasn't, he was worried about where he was going in life. And, trying to look out best for him. That's kind of what I thought as well, too. So it's kind of like they're going to have one more session, I think. And I'm just going to get out that part when David had asked, like, at the end, he keeps remembering the point, like, all things die or something like that, a point that I always remember. So it's kind of like sad. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I hope he gets more help. So the day of the performance, or actually his presentation, you got Marissa. Marissa first just kept talking, playing like, my mom asking me like questions like 50 Cent asked me other questions, blah 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 blah. And so I ran to him and still was talking, and kind of just discussing like certain things. And then David had to ask Marissa, are you gonna help her now? Because Marissa still is like, she feels like helping but don't know for sure and blah blah blah. And she said, okay, I'll help. So they start singing a song, Mary J. Blige, and David started telling where he's from, but from his mom's point of view. And we go back to where his mom, Miss Glow, looks like she's barely legal, if she is, or 17 or barely 18 years old. And she's in front of a house with the little baby that is little David, okay? He ran about a couple months old. So she goes and rings on the doorbell, and this lady comes into the house, and I'm like, oh, we see where this is going. If you know the song, which is a classic, Mary J. Blige, Your Child, you would know it's basically a woman, has a child, apparently based on the song. It's like she didn't even know that the guy she was with had a wife or whatever the case is, or whatever. But just being where you have children in their body situations of a product of affairs, and then she comes to the lady, the wife, whatever, explains what's going on. And so forth. So we go, Miss Glow got the baby in hand. She said because she used the phone and blah blah blah. And the wife we find out is like oh, so you go to Dale, whatever. And she was like, well, how do you know that? Oh, I see a sticker in the window. She was like, yeah, I had to take off blah blah blah. And then basically, when she started looking like, wait a minute, my husband teaches at that school. Are you the one of the students? And it clicked in like, wait a minute, blah blah blah. And then that's when Glow was like, Gloria was like, you know what, I don't want anything for it, but she was just like informing her, basically, I guess, decided to tell her what's going on. But the wife, I was surprised, she was like, you shouldn't have been laid up with, but then she kind of changed her mode where she was like, see, look, this is his child, okay? And then conveniently, the father, the biological dad, sperm donor of David, is pulling, is pulling up, and he's like, what are you doing here, blah, blah, blah. She's lying, blah, blah, go. And then the wife already looking like, well, she could see David looking just like her husband. And then she, the husband's like, what are you doing here, blah, blah, blah. Don't believe her. She probably, probably been smashed, trains been run with her and everything else, basically like, just on the child. She was like, I don't want nothing from you, Ninja. She was like, I'm not the first one probably going to be here, whatever. Basically, you wanted the lady, because the lady was looking like, like not that. Well, she even told the husband, Gloria's sperm donor, that this child does look like you, and that's what the part was. So it was basically David telling the story. So after that, and then Gloria just leave with her son, and that's that. Okay. And they just closed the door, but it really was the husband. Okay, I don't know if he got a call with her. Conveniently came on time when she was explaining the story, but explaining that was, that was the sperm donor's child to his wife, and so at the end, David explains that this song here, even though people can be brought up in different ways, whatever, and certain songs say that, but he is a person. Basically, he is not a nobody and stuff like that, and that's what he was explaining his story about. It's like he came from is, despite that his dad was not around, he is still a person, and so forth. And then, one guy named Jason was like, oh, you were brave, something like that, whatever. And so Marissa and stood around and Siren, and they was like, well, I don't know how she did. Well, she gave us both well done's and stuff like that or whatever. And then he did talk to Dr. WT. She was like, you know what, good job or something like that. And she was like, okay then, David, okay, bye. But he did get a good grade on it. And also repaired him and his friendship. And it's just like I said, it's going to be interesting considering, what he's went through. So it pretty much that he got a good grade, but it kind of ends, like I said, where it ends with the psychiatrist, asking him that last part. And he forgot to mention, he also asked us, David, why you didn't do a project on your friend? He was like, who? And I first thought, honestly, that he was referring to maybe Siren, whatever. And he was like, well, it wasn't based on, but he said, like, it's very important to you. And he just decided, like I said, not to do it on him. But it was pretty interesting that he asked that about asking, like, why he didn't do on that person. Because he was saying something like Sky wasn't, well, he didn't say exactly, I think, named Sky, but, wasn't where he was from, but he was worried about where he was going to, whatever. But he didn't think it was needed to do the project on Sky, So that's pretty much how it ended. But anyway, y'all, all right. Hugs and loves, everybody. Y'all take care. Y'all enjoy the rest of the weekend. Prayers for everybody who is in Florida, because this is based on Florida. This is in Florida, so prayers everybody with the whole Hurricane Dorian and all this stuff. And y'all enjoy, and everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend, y'all extended weekend. Hugs and everybody. Take care, everybody.